Remembering our roots. The lack of knowledge is the number one thing that is destroying America today. Some say that we are dumbing ourselves down daily. Most of the world's people wander in darkness in search of light for themselves. Many no longer study God's Word chapter by chapter nor verse by verse like they used to. The Bible tells us in Hosea 4th chapter 6th verse, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. That thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children." It is not a lack of worldly knowledge that is destroying us. We have plenty of that with the internet and social media outlets. We can do FaceTime, Instagram, Skype, friend or unfriend each other with the click of a mouse. Get LinkedIn to coworkers, friends, and world leaders and tweet them simultaneously. We can access just about anything that we need to know. We need to take a look at our ancestors who went through far worse conditions than we could ever imagine, and they paved the way for us. Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican political leader, once said, "A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." A tree cannot grow without roots. If you were to ask someone younger than myself, how does a tree sustain itself? They may just simply say, "We started from the bottom, now we're here." There is much more involved in sustaining a tree. Rhythmic lyrics to a song alone will not solve the task. We need, as a people, to absorb more of our mothers' and fathers' words instructing us. We need people whose connection to their lineage has not been severed, enabling them to receive divine messages in order to instruct others. We need words that will establish us to our kinship. These words come with wisdom, spirit, power, and strength to rejuvenate our weary souls that have been oppressed and suppressed by individuals who for centuries have had a false sense of superiority. A tree without roots is a dead tree, and this applies to both physical and spiritual aspects of our lives. The roots are the source of a tree's mere existence. They are the vessels by which water, minerals, and other vital substances are taken from the soil into the entire structure of the tree. This scientific discovery makes it easy to see if there are no roots, there is no food source for the tree to live and grow. Eventually, the tree will become a shell and disintegrate. The roots of a tree are also known to be a stabilizing factor. In other words, they hold a tree in its place. Scientifically speaking, it is true that the larger the tree, the bigger and longer are its roots. This gives fact to the argument that the roots are indeed both a stabilizer and supporter of its structure. Now, you may pose the question, how do roots and trees tie in with people and knowledge of past history? Past history can be interpreted to mean ancestry. We may concur that roots are linked to trees and people are linked to knowledge of ancestry. We are all supported, sustained, and exist by the knowledge of ancestry. The knowledge of ancestry is to provide us with wealth, health, prosperity, peace, and stability. Do we have knowledge of our ancestry? Today, as we celebrate the Eaves Family Reunion 2013, we want to take away additional knowledge of George and Rebecca Jackson Eaves. They are the roots to our family tree that began with the love of two hearts. Their hearts connect each of us to one another. We must always remember these two because in a Chinese proverb, it states, "To forget one's ancestors is to be a brook without a source and a tree without a root." George and Rebecca Jackson Eaves left a wonderful legacy to our family, and we must always know and remember this legacy. In America, some legacies include money, property, endowments, scholarships, monuments, charitable gifts, and the list go on and on and on. Eve's family, unless I have been left out of the loop, I am unaware of my grandparents leaving any annual gifting of these types of legacies. I am aware, however, of them leaving you and me something more valuable than money could ever purchase. It is our duty to continue to share the following knowledge of our parents. They left a great reputation. People continue to speak highly of them even today. They were resilient. They were problem solvers. They made the most out of what they had. They had tried and true values. They passed these values on to their children and their children's children. They were prayer warriors. They loved the Lord and were not afraid to call upon His name. They taught us to fear God and to fall upon our knees while giving reverence to the Almighty. They did not conform to this world. They did not think of themselves more highly than they should have thought. They were faithful. They leaned towards that which was good. They lived peaceably with all men. They reminded many of us that vengeance belongs to the Lord. They were honest in the sight of all men. They did not consume themselves with evil, but they overcame evil with good. George and Rebecca Jackson Eaves found themselves in the midst of a time of great disappointments and injustice, but they did not fail to endow us with words of instructions that should continue to connect us for generations to come. The glory belongs to our ancestors. The remembrance and knowledge of these two people will bring us wealth, will bring us health, will bring us prosperity, will bring us peace and sustain us. Family, your crown has been bought and paid for. Now put it on and wear it. Call it a clan, call it a network, call it a tribe, call it a family. Whatever you call it, whoever you are, you need one. Like branches on a tree, we grow in different directions, yet our roots remain as one. Each of our lives will always be a special part of the other. To live in hearts we leave behind is not to die. We need to haunt the house of history and listen anew to the ancestors' wisdom.